Our topic is the cost of adoption, and it's by Marissa Hanley, Anna Olin, and Tatiana Late. How much does adoption cost? There are several types of adoption costs, which can vary from $0 to $50,000. It generally costs from $0 to $1,000 to adopt a child from a county foster or adoptive program. These children are often older, but sometimes infants are placed. A voluntary adoption of a newborn through a nonprofit agency will generally cost between $10,000 to $25,000. Attorney adoptions of newborns generally run from $20,000 to $30,000.
Why does it cost to adopt? There are no government funds for a baby voluntarily placed for adoption, as there are for children removed due to abuse and neglect. Also, the state does regulate agencies setting standards and oversight requirements for adoption, which the IAC supports. Costs associated with adoption. Most are nonprofit organizations, therefore they only receive grants for special projects, which do not cover the basic costs of an adoption. Agencies have to pay highly educated social workers to write home studies. Additionally, they provide counseling, termination of birth parent rights, and post-placement supervision. Most agencies do outreach to potential birth parents to provide families with educational materials and resources. There's also the cost of the business itself.
There are 4 types of adoption options we're going to talk about today. Adopting a domestic infant via an adoption agency, adopting an infant privately, adopting internationally, and adopting from foster care.
Adopting a domestic infant via an adoption agency. Typical cost is $20,000 to $40,000, including the home study, counseling for potential birth parents and prospective adoptive parents, medical expenses, foster care if needed. Benefits. The agency guides you through the process and the fees are typically predictable. Risks. Due to agency's criteria and the birth parent's desire, the process can take a very long time and the birth parents can change their mind.
Adopting an infant privately. Typical cost, $7,000 to $10,000 in legal fees for yourself and the birth parents, plus at least $7,500 in medical expenses. At the high end, these expenses can total more than $35,000. Benefits. You can control the search process and the degree of openness with the birth parents, have direct contact with them, and you aren't restricted by agency requirements. Risks. Costs are unpredictable because advertising, counseling, and living expenses for the birth parents vary widely from adoption to adoption. This process can take a long time and their parents can change their mind.
Adopting internationally. Typical cost, $25,000 to $50,000 or more, depending on travel and other requirements of the country. Benefits. The length of wait is shorter and fees are predictable because you do not have to go through the birth parents. Matches are fairly routine and are typically processed in the order your application is received. Risk. Can be complicated because paperwork is required by the U.S. government and the sending country. Medical information can be incorrect or incomplete, and policy changes or domestic problems in the sending country can delay or suspend the process.
Adopting from foster care. Typical cost, $0 to $3,000 in initial expenses, but fees can be recouped through a federal reimbursement plan or the adoption tax credit. Many families will receive the federal tax credit regardless of their actual expenses. Benefits. Reimbursements make costs negligible, and ongoing subsidies are available to help pay for the child's needs, including medical and counseling, daycare, and tutoring. Risks. Older children may have emotional, physical, or mental disabilities or other special needs. The process can take a while because state agencies often are understaffed.
Here's a table that helps you figure out what kind of adoption is right for you.
In conclusion, families with adopted children are less likely to be poor compared to families with children overall. According to the 2003 census report, adoptive households have higher median incomes than households with only biological children. 33% of adopted children, as opposed to 27% of biological children, live in households with incomes of $75,000 or more.